Hey there, it's Adam again. You know, we were talking about the waterfall on the earlier Mama project, and I thought it'd be a good idea just to kind of slowly show it to you. We got a little bit of debris. We got some trees that were down from the ice storm. So, this is right close to the house here, and just on the other side of those couple logs is that she sheds. That's what it's going to be. This used to be a grist mill. It was 4 feet higher. You can see on the other side of the top of where that green is, that's where the blocks used to be. All this collapsed at one point before I bought it. Anyway, this is beautiful right here. I'm just walking up the hill towards the house. I'm trying to also build a couple terraces here. I got some extra dirt from the house. Anyway, yeah, we can sit out here and enjoy this. Just gonna make this part of a regular video. Hey everybody, it's Adam. So, here we go. We're gonna make, I'm kind of gonna make some rafters, if you would. Maybe, I don't know if they're really rafters, but anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, kind of came to me in a dream, so to speak. I'm going to take a 2x10 and kind of cut it in sort of a circular, semicircular kind of pattern. So what I've done here, kind of took me a little while to do it. I'll come up with the circle part. But anyway, I want my roofing to be about 5.5 inches. It's kind of, kind of like a 2x6 if you would, but I don't want it to be flat. I wanted it to be curved. So what I did there in the very beginning is I actually took a string. I laid the piece of wood perpendicular to the trailer, and I took a string and kind of walked the string away from the piece of wood until it actually kind of gave me the right curvature or circumference that would allow me to, from top to bottom of this particular, after you can see it's been cut, I wanted it to be about 5.5 inches. So starting with a 2x10, you just kind of walk away. And I ended up being about, I don't know, maybe 15 feet, maybe 12 feet away, and I just used a string that was tied to the floor there with a screw and a pencil. And I just kept moving my pivot, if you want to call it pivot point, kept moving it farther away until I got the curve where everything lined up with the bottom of the piece of wood, and then about 5.5 inches from the bottom. And that's how I made those little curved pieces there. It was pretty simple. I wish I'd have shown that more, but I don't think about that when I'm making videos. I'm just used to doing work. I'm not really a videographer, as you can tell. Anyway, so from the last video to this video, you can see that I finished all the walls, and it don't need to show every little bit of all that. I used 2x6s that were doubled up to span where the wheel well is for the tires. It just kind of gave me a new area or a new platform or something sturdy to put the walls onto. Anyways, you can see we've kind of framed out where the windows are all going to be. These windows, like we talked about before, are somewhere between 5 and 3 feet wide and maybe 2 feet tall. And we adjusted the height, not really any industry standard, but just I kind of got Pam to stand there, and she kind of decided where she wanted to look out. She wanted more window towards the water. Where the camera is now is kind of towards a road, but it's not even really a road. But anyway, so I'm finishing up putting all the top plates right now. This is simple work. Now, the main thing with top plates is you just make sure you overlap. You don't want the seams to all line up. So once you've done with one, you have one top plate already because you stood the wall up. So the second top plate, you just want to span as long as you can. Now, I lost the video somehow, so I actually had to, I spanned all these at about 24 inches on center, and which is plenty with a 7/16 kind of an OSB, and basically what everybody else uses for roofing and or siding. As you can see, I have all the little arches in place, and this thing kind of looks like a caboose when it's done with that little arched roof. It just kind of, it simplified the roof process. One, I didn't want it to be flat, and two, I didn't want to have to build trusses. It's only 8 feet. It's very easily strong enough that being arched, you know, basically 2x6 if you would. Um, so what I'm doing here is I'm just putting all the cheek goods up on top. Just throw them up there and get them in place and kind of touch them off. Now what I did here to make things easier is since it's only 8 feet, it's just a little bit more. I've kind of did a back cut angle, so I left myself an overhang of almost 6 inches. It's about a 45-degree angle at the end of these. I would call them rafters for lack of better words. Anyway, so being curved, it's a little bit more than, obviously 8 feet from one end to the other. You got 8 feet plus 6 inches per side, plus the circumference. So you're talking, basically you're going to leave about 14 inches in the center. So what I did is I lined everything up, snapped some chalk lines. You probably couldn't see it because it happened so quickly. And I lined it up and just kind of tacked the inboard edge in place, what I would call the inboard edge, towards the center. And I did this on both sides. So I kind of moved these pieces so they weren't in the center. And you can see here I kind of have like a 14-inch kind of hole in the center of these two pieces. It'll make more sense in a little bit when you see the video. Alright, and I just kind of heave-ho them and throw these pieces of plywood up through the rafters, and they land and hopefully don't slide off. As you can see, I'm kind of working out of that little hole there and right down the center. Didn't really have a bunch of multiple camera angles. I don't have the ability to do that. Anyway, as we work through here, now I'm just kind of screwing these down like I like to do. Being a novice carpenter, I like to screw things together because I can always unscrew it and move it. I hate nailing stuff because then you destroy the wood trying to get the nails out. And eventually I'll come back and you'll probably see the nail gun in action. So here we are with the center. And now I'm going to just walk down each one from the center. I'm going to start from the center of each board, not quite on the edge, and just start working them over the curve. And it just gently curves the plywood. So I end up with this nice little, it's probably not even a 1/2 or 1/12 or 2/12 pitch at all. But it's just round. Like I said, with a moderate 6-inch overhang, plus now I've given an extra inch of overhang with this OSB. And I'm going to do the same to the other side, kind of working my way from the center of each board. And then what I'm going to do is cut pieces, and kind of measure them. And I didn't really do a fantastic job of this, but anyway, it's roofing very easily. I'm using my trailer, and I have a 5-wheeler. It's kind of like a John Deere Gator, but it's pre-Gator. It has four wheels that drive all tied together. You can't get the thing ever stuck. And it has a dump bed. It's fantastic. Can't wait to make a video on that thing. Anyway, it's like a 3-wheeler with a dump bed trailer. Anyway, I'm using that in my other trailer as kind of a what do you want to call it? Sawhorse workbench. I have this trailer because you cannot buy a pickup truck to put a 4x sheet of plywood in there. So this trailer used to be a pop-up trailer, and I turned it into a yard trailer. I have completely built my 3,000 square foot house with this trailer. The only things I've had to have delivered was the concrete and the blocks, and some of those I used my other truck for because it'll take that kind of load. But everything else I have hand moved with this trailer and my Honda minivan. And then eventually with this toy that I have here, which is, I had to have it. I got it cheap. I put a Predator kind of motor in there from Harbor Freight, dirt cheap, and it had a 9-horse golf cart motor in it, I think, and I put a 13 or 15 horse monster in there, so I can move anything I want, and